Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, meetings will be available to the public via live stream only on the town's YouTube channel. To participate electronically, please visit aurora.ca/participation. We'd like to start by acknowledging that the land on which we live and work is the traditional territory of the Wende, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples, whose presence here continues to this day. Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty's First Nations. We acknowledge and thank them for sharing this land with us. A shared understanding of how the rich cultural heritage that has existed for centuries and of how our collective past brought us to where we are today will help us walk together into a better future. Council, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Council Kim, second. Council Thompson, any comments or questions on the agenda? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. No delegations. Go right into our items. 6.1, 2022 operating budget, community partner business plans and presentations. We will begin with 6.1.1, Central York Fire Services 2022 operating grant. And this is binder tab 14, and we have a presentation to be provided by our fire chief, Ian Lang, and Mike Mays, treasurer, town of Newmarket. Chief, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening to you and council. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to review with you the 2022 budget submission for Central York. And as you mentioned, I have Mike Mays with me if there are detailed questions that you would like some answers to. Next slide. Actually, there we go. Thanks, Mike. Okay, we'll go to the next slide, please. There you go. The budget number that was originally based on the 10-year plan targeted the increase at 714,000, but the actual increase was reduced by 40,000 because Newmarket had put a target on the reduction. There does include 46,000 for growth for Station 4-5, which will be coming online likely mid-2022. There is an asset replacement fund contribution increase of $35,000. We are aware of and taking steps to remediate a $65,000 revenue reduction due to the change in the agreement for providing fire protection to a portion of Whitchurch-Stouffville. And there is a moderate change in cost allocation, which will result in a shift of funding to Aurora in the annual operating cost of approximately $59,000. Next slide, please. So a quick overview of the operating budget analysis. Our total budget request is just shy of $30 million, and the wages and benefits portion of that is nearly $25 million. So that's 85% of the total budget that we have available for 2022 is due to wages and benefits. Next slide, please. So this is just a quick overview of the different components that make up the wages and benefits component. You can see there are moderate increases. There are regular part-time wages in there that does show a fair increase. However, when you look at the numbers, you see it's only $11,000, and as such, that will be addressed in that the regular part-time person we have will be moving to a full-time, and that amount should drop off, and that the regular wages will be absorbed into our regular wages category, which is lineup. We've got a slight increase in the overtime request due to the COVID and the other issues facing fire services. We're trying to make sure that we have the number of people on duty all the time to ensure that we have adequate protection. The leave time is always a bit of a concern with the with the number of staff that we have, they have the ability to cash out their leave time if it is not used during the holiday year. And I believe our request is just under 850,000, which matches what the actual expenditure was for 2021. So we'll move forward from there. Again, casual seasonal is to do with the students that we hire in the summer to help promote the fire safety messages throughout all the community events that are being held. And again, benefits are a fairly significant portion of totals about 29% of our total expenditure. Next slide, please. These are just some of the operating budget components that we pay from day to day to make sure we keep the doors open and the lights on. As you can see, there are a number of things that have been held to zero increase and a number of items that have been reduced. The property lease reduction will be the moving of our staff from the temporary training facility in Newmarket to the new Station 4-5, probably midway through the year. So we're anticipating that the station will be available for us for the graduation of the new recruits in June. Next slide, please. On the capital side, we have several vehicles that the deputies are currently using, and fire prevention uses one for the fire investigation vehicle. Some of these vehicles are getting up there in years, and as part of our life cycle replacement program, we have made inquiries to replace them. The amount that you see here is actually the amount to replace like with like. So gasoline powered and all of that. You can see about 5 items down that there is an upgrade opportunity to move these vehicles to electric. And as such, it would help both Aurora and Newmarket, who have declared climate emergencies, to reduce the carbon footprint. And we anticipate a reduction in general operating costs. So the total new requests are $750,000. And we do have some projects ongoing that trucks will be delivered in 2022. To be included in that is the hazardous materials truck and 2 American LaFrance fire engines that were purchased in 2005, 2006. This company has gone out of business, and it's unfortunate that we're unable to get any replacement parts because they're proprietary. So replacing these engines at the 15 years is what we would have normally anticipated. However, the actual replacements will go right into reserve status and will be in very good shape. And Fire Station 4-5 has, as I said earlier, been moving along quite well. And as such, this is the component that goes into completion of the fire station. Next slide, please. So COVID has brought us a number of challenges, and obviously personal protective equipment, cleaning supplies, masks, all of the things that we have to do to keep our staff safe and to keep the public safe have totaled about $46,000 extra to the end of Q3. We haven't got that specifically provided for in the 2022 budget, but we do have contingency accounts and reserves for volatile expenditures that we can tap in the event of the 4th wave, as they're calling it, continuing into the new year. Next slide, please. So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, that is a quick overview of the request for Central York Fire Services for the year 2022. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Or I have Mr. Mays here to assist in the event you want to delve a little deeper.
Thank you, Chief. And before I read the recommendation, Council asks for a mover and seconder. Councillor Humphreys, are you there?
Yes, I am, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Councillor Humphries, you weren't on when I asked for declaration of pecuniary interest.
Yes.
You wanted to declare a conflict on this one.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Yes.
If you just state that conflict, and then you just kind of sit back and stay off the video. And
absolutely, thank you for the opportunity. I do have my husband works for the fire department, so I will be excluding myself from this discussion.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Council, the recommendations that the presentation from Central York Fire Services be received. 2, that the request for the 2022 operating grant to the Central York Fire Services in the amount of $12,294,900 be tentatively approved. Would someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Gilliland, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any comments or questions for the chief or to the report itself? Councillor Gardner, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chief. It's a very good report, a very good budget. And I appreciate, well, it's just, to me, this is a good news budget. I appreciate all the work you've done to rein in the expenses, and COVID is an unknown. But with respect to the repair and replacement, that's absolutely imperative. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you, Councillor Gallo.
Thank you, Chief, for all your work. I just have one quick question. That last slide says proudly servicing Aurora and Newmarket. I'm wondering, when you deliberate to Newmarket, do you change that to proudly servicing Newmarket and Aurora?
No, sir. This is our logo that is on all of our tagline, that's on all of our fire apparatus and all of our public education. And we always do Aurora and Newmarket in that order.
The Aurora was first. Thank
you.
Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chief, for delegating this evening. Just a couple of questions. If you can speak to, in terms of your presentation stated 84% of the budget is related to salaries and benefits. How do we compare with other fire departments of other municipalities?
Chief?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Previously, I worked at a department that was like 95%, but when you take into account the dispatch, we have none of the people that work in dispatch that come out of our wages and benefits component. So if we were running our own communications division, we would have another 10 or 12 people likely in there, plus millions of dollars worth of infrastructure. So the fact that we are slightly below the percentage, if you will, for other departments, it just, their numbers are just that much higher based on the fact that they have more people and they do things internally. Like I said, the dispatch center is done, and we do our mechanical people are all town of Newmarket employees for the most part. So we don't pay their wages as such, so they're not included in our percentage. So those are the things that drive the percentage up if you have all those people on the payroll, and reflecting the fact that if they do become part of our wage package, they are based on the first class firefighter rate or above. So it quickly brings the number up.
Yes.
Thank you. And excuse my ignorance on this, but are we leveraging the dispatch from other municipalities, or who fulfills our dispatch role?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Our dispatch has been contracted out to Richmond Hill Fire Services for a number of years.
Okay.
And as such, they are providing communication services for 5 of the departments within the 8 in the region.
Great. And next, I noticed snow plowing contract was up by 87% this year. So can you just talk about that in terms of, is it just is it a cyclical thing, or?
Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, sir. The snow plowing contract, we were on a 3 to 5 year deal with a local vendor, and that contract expired, and the vendor, I believe, was retiring. And as such, we had to go out to the marketplace. So now we're with a new vendor, and that was the best deal that we could sign up for at the time. So I believe it's dependent, though, on the number of times they visit. It's not a flat fee that they get, regardless of if there's no snow or anything like that. I believe it's based on services provided. So the fact is, we hopefully won't spend that much money. But you're right, it is a significant increase, but that's what the market is charging.
Thank you. And regarding the facilities repair and maintenance, that was up significantly as well. And is there anything we can do to kind of plan that out so that it's more smooth, as opposed to having the volatility in that budget line?
Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. We have a kind of a unique situation, as you're aware. The 2 stations that are in Aurora are the capital repairs on those stations are handled by Aurora. And the 2 stations in Newmarket are similarly handled by the town of Newmarket. The station 4-5, which is the newest station that is being constructed, actually has a cost sharing agreement that uses the same formula that the cost sharing for operational expenses is derived from. So the issue that we have are the fire stations. Every year they're just getting older. I know right now the fire station on Edward Street, they're still budgeting to replace single pane glass windows in the station that have been there since the station was built. And as you know, that's a number of years ago. So we have to apply to get into the cycle for both Aurora and Newmarket, and they look after all the capital repairs, so roofs and overhead doors and things like that, that are required. And I would suggest to you, sometimes they just don't make the top of the list, but we just keep reapplying if in fact something needs to be done.
Mays, do you want to add to that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I might, just to simplify the chief's answer, the main driver for the increase in the costs is that we're adding a 5th station. So that will be going online in 2022. So as the chief identified in his presentation, there was about $46,000 in growth related expenses. That was the final phase in of expenses related to that new facility.
Councillor?
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying all that. So thank you both for your work, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? See. Councillor Gardner, second time.
Thank you. Going back to the in lieu time, some, I'll call you a corporation for lack of a better word, are saying that their employees have to use it or lose it. But in this case, we're paying out any in lieu time that staff isn't taking.
Chief or Mr. Mays?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So there's 2 components to this. If each year they're granted vacation time, they have to use that time or they lose it. However, for lieu time,
Okay.
they are allowed to cash it in if they don't use it. We have seen since the introduction of the 24-hour shift that the rate does appear to go up more. However, we're in anticipation of the new year. We have asked for an increase to try to make sure that we're budgeting the correct amount.
Councillor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Mays.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council, for your support. Take care.
Thanks, Chief.
Council, next we have 6.1.2 Aurora Public Library Board 2022 Operating Grant. And we have a presentation provided by Mr. Gorman, Chief Executive Officer, Tom Connor, Board Chair, and Julie Roca, Business Manager. Mr. Gorman.
I think Tom's going to start for a moment.
Floor is yours.
Yeah, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good evening, everybody, and members of the Finance Committee. My name's Tom Connor. I'm the chair of the Aurora Public Library Board, and I'm pleased to be here this evening to speak to our 2022 operating budget and to provide highlights of our accomplishments in 2021. 2021 has been another unique year for all of us. Over the course, Aurora Public Library quickly adjusted to ongoing government regulations while navigating the Town Square construction project. We have been both financially responsible and operationally responsible with service to the residents of Aurora top of mind. We have been confronted by challenges related to COVID-19 and the construction project, all of which we have navigated decisively and expeditiously. Over the course of the year, we were in fact at times the only municipal service available to residents of Aurora. For the upcoming budget year and final of this cycle, we are pleased to report that we are not requesting any changes beyond what was previously approved by Council. And as partners with the Town of Aurora, we continue to work closely on the Town Square project and look forward to its future success. I'm now pleased to hand the presentation over to our CEO, Bruce Gorman, for further details. Bruce, thank you.
Thanks very much, Tom. I'm going to see if I can share my screen because I have it in PowerPoint. If I can't, then you guys can all help me. There we go. And there we go. Can everybody see?
Yes, thank
Okay. Thanks so much, Tom. So we're happy to be here in front of the Budget Committee. I'm happy to be here to tell our story of 2021 and some of the pressures we've had from COVID over 2021 and what we may be looking for or what we are looking to the future in 2022. We are a community-led library, and I think that's really important. We kind of made that switch in our most recent strategic plan, but we listen to the community and we do what the community wants us to do. And never more than this year has that been the case. The diversity that we represent now in this year particularly was quite something you see on your screen there. Poet Anne Again, a book launch we did, Dr. Cheryl Thompson, featured speaker for Black History Month. And then our new regular events, the Drag Time Story Time with Pride. So it's important to us. We listen to our community. We do what they're asking, and never more than this year has it been important. We are the place of possibilities. You can come to our public library, even in a pandemic and a construction project, and engage with us in many ways. And we're excited to be able to do that and help the community in a difficult 2 years. In particular, we're talking about this year. So you're looking at a partnership right now that we have with the town as related to One Book, One Aurora. This rather than have kind of this regular looking fence around the Town Square project, this is our version of the everything wall. So it's an exciting spot for people to jot down whatever they want, and it's been quite exciting for us to see. We're excited about it, but that's why we are the place of possibilities. So yes, 2021 has been a challenging year for Aurora Public Library between a construction project and a pandemic. So we would have to respond, in a moment's notice as to a new government regulation. We would often be meeting in the night because we needed to implement a new regulation the next day. We've been open 42 hours a week, period, since the furlough, since we stopped the furlough, and since there was a brief pause when we had no access to the library over the early days of January 2021. In addition to that, with a construction project and the roof being repaired and damage to some of our equipment from water and the noise of the of the tear down and new construction. Yes, it's been challenging, but we've risen to the challenge all along. We always said collectively that we wanted to, in these difficult times, provide the best service that we can to Aurorans, and we really feel that we've done that. Virtual programming has been something quite remarkable that has really told the tale of what we can do. You're looking right now at birth totems, something similar to Zodiac. This is a partnership with Oneida First Nation. So these partnerships that we had throughout this year, we as a really awesome partner had the ability to be a venue for new partners who maybe don't have as easily the ability to share their message. So we were very excited about this. Virtual programming will become a part of our everyday lives at Aurora Public Library. So some of our KPIs then, programs, not so surprising in 2020, a difficult year, our programs were notably down, but we're on the road to recovery. We're back, 30% increase year to date in 2021 so far. So we're excited to have the programs, a lot of them virtual programs. You're looking at a sustainability program. During this program, which I attended, we had someone join the program from San Francisco Bay Area to participate. Our attendance is on the rise again, 26.6% increase over last year. Again, last year, an anomalous year for sure because of the pandemic, not near our usual numbers for programming, close to 25,000, which we would normally see in a regular year for programming. And that number was on the rise under normal conditions as well. This was an editors in residence program you're looking at. Third from the right on the top line, that lady joined us from London, England to participate in our program. So our reach is far. We introduced our streaming services and download services, not too surprising at all. We're remarkably important to the community, and we were happy to provide a breadth of service that allows them to engage themselves, educate themselves, and entertain themselves. I noticed a significant increase in 2021. So Facebook was a major channel for us to engage with the community in 2021. And this slide here, you see there's a minor decrease in our Facebook reach, but that is because every person under the sun in 2020 was totally locked down and they were engaging with Facebook, but they began to come out and engage with the world in a more real way in 2021. So that number is a bit down, but not surprising. The screen, I previously showed this at one time, but it's worth repeating. During a particular week, particular week in our past, we had more engagements than Toronto Public Library, Vaughan Public Library, Richmond Hill Public Library, and Markham Public Library. So what we're doing online and in Facebook is pretty remarkable. As well, we have a Minecraft program that we were surprised, but these are the numbers, that 800 viewers in South Asia checked out our Minecraft program. 800 from South Asia checked out our program. Online followers, that continues to rise as we continue to build this new audience. This will be part of our audience going forward in future years, but that number continues to increase. Our membership dipped a little bit, but because of our need and our desire to make sure everybody had access, some of the rules that we have in place, such as removing people who haven't been active in 2 years, we suspended those rules. So 2020 was a bit inflated as opposed to 2021, because I've talked to you, or council for sure, in years past about the remarkable increase in numbers of memberships that we've seen from 1% for many, many years to 10. So this is a bit of an anomaly that we will recover from. Virtual resources, so Press Reader is a new product that we brought to the community there for magazines and newspapers and the like. Niche Academy is also a place for us to create videos. So we have a lot of training videos and other videos that are important for the public and how to use our services, etc. So that's a new service that we added in 2021. Our virtual programs, so from Meet the Candidates to Native Plants to Art in Unexpected Places, a partnership we had with the Aurora, our Scholars Hub. These are valuable, meaningful programs in 2021 that assist the community as they began to navigate and help them, educate themselves and learn in what was a difficult year. So we have this creative studio that we fully haven't 100% launched because it just got completed as the pandemic started. But we have things like the take and make. So these are actual products that we send out, you can take out and make them. So actual tactile work that you can do. The Minecraft I just mentioned, we had a lot of South Asians join us there. And our story times, our trivia nights. So we've engaged the community in 2021 in what we think is a really meaningful way. And when we have the opportunity to get outside, we do. We go out to Town Park and other locations. We partner with the town on some story times. It didn't quite work out this year, but we do have a partnership in progress with the town on story times under the tent, which we also head out to the town park. We began finally not so long ago with Storytime Live. We're taping this as well, so it can be both, but it was so lovely to see when I was there. This was, I think, 3 or 4 weeks ago when we actually had an in-library hybrid story time. It was something else. I mentioned our partnerships. They're so important to us, and they're what have driven this new resurgence in our value as a partner. We've had a lot of partners who were really an awesome venue for them to get their message out, and it's really important messages from our perspective too. So we're excited about that. We jazzed up our Go Train return bin in 2021. It was kind of a dull, boring white thing, so now we've jazzed it up. It looks nice out the Go Station at Aurora. We're also speaking with Metrolinx about another pretty unique opportunity partnership with Metrolinx that I'll have more to tell you about a little bit later. We did Go Find Free this year. This is the track that libraries are heading towards, and it's the right track. There's lots of numbers that consider it a barrier to people coming and using the library. We agreed with that, so we went Find Free earlier in the year. Charges remain for lost and damaged items, and through cost avoidance strategies, we won't see any negative effect financially from that. Our pickup window has been an enormous success. This is iteration 2. Iteration 1 was when we had a parking lot. We no longer have our 2 of our primary entrances don't exist right now. And over the course of Christmas, when we were shut down by the province, we worked with the town to build this window so we could continue our service to the public. So generally speaking, so there's some numbers there about customers per hour. You see 18, 16, 16. Usually when I ask for week numbers, a week of numbers, I get higher numbers than that, 24. But regardless, this is a service that the community has really benefited from, and it's kept us going in terms of our ability to serve the community. And we're very thankful, actually, overall with the project, the construction project, and with COVID, on the help of our partners in the town. So they've been side by side, in particular Doug Bertrand, along this journey. And when we needed something, they were there. And so this took, a couple weeks for this window to be erected and ready to go in early January. And I probably had, well, maybe not 100, but a whack of emails. I know councilors got a few when we were closed asking to please have us open. So we were excited that this window opened up in early January of this year, and it remains open now to, usually it's plus 20 per hour for the 7 hours, or for the 42 hours we're open every week. So we're happy about that. We did earlier this year open to the public, welcome them back. So public is now allowed in our library with all of the proper protocols in place. That was another entryway that was erected in the south end so that people could walk in and out of the library. So we usually are upwards at any particular moment of 50 to 75 people in the library, and people are really excited to be back, and they're using the computer and they're reading and they're enjoying the services that we have. So we were thrilled to come back in 2021. Yeah, I did talk about some of the pressures that we've had because of the pandemic and the construction project. That's a nice picture, although it changes every day. Virtual card renewals, that was something that we didn't do in the past. The relocation I just mentioned of the entryways, relocation of the holds pickup. Community partners, we have some really great ones, but a lot of community partners weren't ready to come back yet. A notable increase or change for us is that we have staff now doing virtual programming. So we set them all up in their homes back in 2020, and new employees who have come on since then. And they do work, with our technology and do a lot of programs at home, which is very valuable to the community, as I've suggested here. So, we've navigated through COVID, we've navigated through the construction project as best we can, and we feel that we've provided pretty remarkable service to the community in 2021. A couple comments: being able to reserve books, to get them at a window curbside pickup has been an exceptional service. I've never used the library more than during COVID. It has truly been appreciated during a very difficult time. Way to go. Great use of taxpayer money. And this is a sample of a lot of emails that I get on a regular basis of people who are really excited that we're here. Tom mentioned earlier, I guess I should have qualified that, because I think it's inside. We're the only, at different times, the only indoor regular service, municipal service in Aurora. And I think people really felt the importance of that. And even if it was just to get out of their house, to come and pick up a book, I believe that was really valuable to the community. So again, the requisition that we had as part of this 3-year cycle, we had modest increases in 2021, 2022 over 2020. We're not asking for any more as requested by you. We will work within that budget. Our personnel costs, as you can see, are down a bit in 2021. We expect that in 2022 with, ramifications of the construction project and COVID still looming. But in the end, we're okay with our 2022 budget. We will work within that budget. Previously, last year, we proactively offered our surplus to the town. Since then, a bylaw has come into place so that our surplus, as I understand it, goes to a facilities account that looks after buildings, which we're okay with too. That's typically the way I've budgeted in my working career. And so having surplus head over to a town account, we're okay with that. But again, we're not asking for any more in 2020. We will work within that budget. We don't know what's going to happen in 2020. The fire chief mentioned, the fourth wave, it's looming, it's getting a little bit worse. The construction project, it fluctuates in its timelines, but just like we've done in 2021, we will work in 2022 to hopefully become a more normal, regular facility that people can visit in an easier way towards the end of 2020 or maybe mid 2020. So that's my presentation. I hope it didn't take up too much of your time. I'm pleased if you're interested in any questions you may have on our operating budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Council, the recommendations that the presentation and business plan from the Aurora Public Library Board be received. 2, that the request for the 2022 operating grant to the Aurora Public Library Board in the amount of $3,934,100 be tentatively approved. Would someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Kim, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. Just wanted to make a comment. Bruce, thank you for your presentation this evening. I certainly want to commend you and all the staff on managing quite a year, and despite all of the challenges that COVID brought with it, as well as the construction project. I know it wasn't easy at times, but certainly the comments that you put up on the screen, as well as what I've heard from around the community, everybody loves the library, and you guys have been doing a fantastic job in a challenging circumstance. It's great to hear of the collaboration between the library and the town to address some of these issues and to navigate where possible some of those challenges. And certainly, you've always been a great working partner of the town, and looking forward to when the construction is over and the new normal is settled in and there's not so much of a COVID disruption, and the library can take full advantage of Town Square and all that it brings forward. So thanks again for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. Just a few questions. Thanks again for the presentation. It was great. I just kind of wrote them in order as the presentation went. So first thing, I understand you have this new bin return at the GO train. And I guess a simple question I wanted to ask is, how is that going? Is it successful? And do you find that, do people misuse it in a way that's not meant for books?
Mr. Corman.
Part B, no, they don't misuse it. No, it's used for what its intended purpose is. And our numbers haven't changed over the course of this year. In fact, they probably have gone up a bit because people are just as happy to drop it in that bin as opposed to engage with the library, even though it's just a window that they can plop their materials in. But it looks much nicer now. It looks pretty cool. The other one, you know, kind of blended into the parking lot, but this one's is nicer. So no, we don't have weird things in the bin, and there's a minor uptake probably. When I was in Halifax, we had similar things, and I saw horrible things in the bins, but not here in Aurora.
Councillor.
Thank you. That's good to hear. I was impressed with your key performance indicators on your engagement. You noted that you're much higher even than the Toronto Public Library. Was that during a specific time frame when you're using that example?
So there is some variability there. It was a specific week. I'm not sure exactly of the week. It was in the summer. So yeah, and there is variability. It depends on a lot of factors, the algorithms that Facebook uses. But I will say that that's something that we've never seen anything like that happen before. So that was why I thought that it was worth mentioning, right? We haven't seen that before. It was in the summertime, but I can't speak to like the algorithms that that Facebook uses, right? Nevertheless, it was still noteworthy, I believe.
Councillor.
Yeah, great to be proud of, that's for sure. I know you guys have been very active online and have definitely been moving and shifting with the programming during COVID. And I really commend you guys for really being able to kind of turn that corner quickly. A question about your pilot program on your fine free. I just, within your presentation, are you permanently on a fine free program or is it still in a pilot situation?
No, we exited the pilot. Yeah, sorry, Mary. We exited the pilot and now we are permanently fine free, right?
Councillor.
Perfect. Okay. And that's going great for you guys then.
Yes.
Perfect. Final question, and it was based on the budget. I'm just going to scroll to that page. I guess the overarching question really is what led to the reduction in your budget. I noticed that your personal costs are down 100 grand, but your other expenditures are up 100 grand. You've also have a lot less granting, and if maybe perhaps you could kind of touch on what led to those differences between now and back in 2020.
Yeah, just let me go back to my slide there. So yeah, I just brought my slide up here. So in 2021, before the pandemic, we were under normal conditions. So our personnel costs certainly went down. So we furloughed staff. We brought staff slowly back, but we still aren't open the regular amount of hours that we are. Yet our other expenditures, the expenditures that day-to-day photocopiers, all those things, that remain consistent. On the revenue side, so we now, we don't have rooms to rent, which was a notable part of our revenue. And as well, we are going fine free. So I mentioned that we have cost avoidance strategies in place for the fine free, but the room rentals, the suddenness of the closure of the library and our inability to rent rooms, that was a bit of a surprise. So that certainly has gone down in 2021 and 2022 as well. Does that answer your question, Councilman?
Councillor.
Yeah, just somewhat. So when you're talking how obviously during COVID your staffing cost had decreased just because you're partially closed, but then in 2022, does that fall into your personal costs then because you're still a lot less than 2020? So I'm just trying to understand.
Yes.
Are you hiring more people back? Like I'm just kind of trying to understand like where's this cost savings? Seems you pushed down into the other expenditures, but I'm just trying to understand what that big gap is.
So we're not, so we will be bringing back programming and hours sometime in 2022. So we're not exactly sure when we'll bring back those hours. in 2022. So we have, budgeted that our staffing costs will be less over the course of those hours, over the course of 2022. Okay. We're just not sure, right?
Councillor?
Okay. Fair enough. And as far as the the general and grant revenue, I'm assuming, is that just a difference with the COVID relief that you had received in 2020? Is it more typical for you to receive in and around the $50,000 mark, or is this something that's...
So this will be a reduction in rental money for the COVID, for the Magnet and Lebovic room, right? Which we no longer have access to that revenue, right? Because of COVID.
Councillor?
Yep. No, I get it. I just thought it was specific to granting. So you just separated it for me.
Grants, so our requisition from the town remains the same, and from the province remains the same as well.
Gotcha. Perfect. That's it. Thank you so much.
You, Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Bruce, for the fantastic way you've nimbly maneuvered the library through this crisis. Knowing your senior management team well, they did an excellent job as well as helping you guide us through this COVID. A couple of questions. I noticed that under KPIs, Facebook reach declined 22% and online followers increased 8.9%. If you can just speak to that difference, I would imagine that the increase in followers was because of other media that increased. But if you can talk to that, that'd be great.
So the Facebook reach declined in 2021 because people were cooped up in 2022. They had nothing to do, no place to go. So that was higher than it ever was. But in 2021, people were able to exit and participate in the world. And so their reliance on Facebook and those online services wasn't as significant. That's our position on it, which makes good sense to me. People were trapped in their homes for a good portion of 2020. Which was the other number that you were talking about, Councillor?
Councillor?
The other item was online followers. And so I'm assuming that Facebook is part of online followers, but that also includes probably other platforms as well. And so that's why.
Mr. Gorman?
Facebook, and on the side there, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. So all those are included. And that is an increase, and we're happy to see that increase. And, part of that reason is because people are engaging with us more so because of COVID. And that's growing every year regardless of COVID too.
Councillor?
Okay, so I guess I can conclude that other platforms made up for the decline in Facebook then. Okay.
So those are the platforms we use. Yeah, those are the platforms we use: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, right? Those are the platforms that we currently use. We don't use other platforms just yet.
Sir?
Great. Next, I didn't see a line item for the reserve funds and reserve fund contributions. I know when I was on the board, I think a couple of years ago, we did not contribute anything to the reserve. Can you give us an update on the reserve fund balance, please?
I don't have it in front of me. I don't have it in front of me. That's on the town's books, though. Julie unfortunately couldn't join us, but I can get you the exact number of the balance of our reserve account. For sure, I can do that for you. This I was more focused on the budgeting for 2022, but I can certainly get that for you, Councillor.
Councillor?
Sure. Yeah, no problem, Bruce. So I think that concludes all my questions, but thank you very much for leading the library and being a great partner with us throughout the town square build out. So all the best in the new year.
Councillor Gardner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Another good news story, Mr. Gorman. Very, very good to hear. And it just confirms how important the library is. My questions have been asked, but I'm just wondering, with the in-person visits now, are you getting many seniors?
Yeah, we absolutely. Yeah, some of the local care homes, they come down to make trips to see us, right? A lot of people, their routines are, seniors in particular, to come and enjoy a good book in the morning. So yeah, so we're seeing a cross section. In the afternoons, as an example, the teens come in around 3 o'clock after school. But yeah, there's a good selection of people, including notable number of seniors and visits from some of the is it Chartway, I believe it's Chartwell. Yeah.
Councillor?
Thank you. That's good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you to you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank Bruce and Tom, Chair. Great presentation. I just, and they've heard it often with me being on the board, that just in terms of the library being able to work and be so nimble throughout COVID and even the construction, to adapt so well and have the library usage, go up and continue to be a real hub for our community. I just wanted to thank you very much. And, it's commendable to you and the staff, incredible staff that makes it happen. That's all for me. And thank you very much for your presentation this evening.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Bruce, Tom, thank you very much for coming out this evening.
It was a pleasure, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Council, next is 6.1.3 Aurora Historical Society Board 2020-22 Operating Grant. Binder tab 15. We have a presentation to be provided by Patricia Wallace, President, Jeffrey Daw, Treasurer, and Kathleen Vahe, Curator. Patricia.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you to the members of the Budget Committee for having us present tonight on behalf of the board. I thank you for that opportunity to reconfirm our funding request through a brief look at AHS activities, successes, and challenges for 2021 and our goals for 2022. One moment, we're having a bit of a screen share issue here. We might just have to start this again. One moment. Do you know how many times we rehearsed this?
Didn't we have problems last year as well?
Oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. All right, here we go.
Do you have it, Ms. Clerk? Patricia. Oh, you got it, Patricia. I was going to say we could share it if yours wasn't working.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, here we go. So I'm sure you are all aware of the extensive 58-year history of the AHS and the significant contributions made by the organization to heritage in Aurora. You may not be aware, however, that 2021 marks the 40th anniversary of owning and operating Hillary House, a significant milestone. We are proud that the town lists Hillary House on their website as a cultural and economic benefit to life and business in Aurora. I'm going to back up one. Since that acquisition, the AHS has been committed to its preservation and restoration so that it may continue to be used as a hub for heritage education and retain the physical beauty and historical significance in the changing local landscape. If you were a participant at the recent virtual Hillary House Ball, you would have seen a more in-depth look at the restoration efforts, in addition to seeing the ways the community interacts with us. If you were not able to attend, we'd be happy to share those videos with you. To speak to some of the highlights of 2021, I'd like to introduce you to our curator, Kathleen Vahe. Kathleen?
And thank you, Patricia. So let me change the slide. Right, so throughout 2021, the AHS has continued their commitment to offer programming and events to engage the community. This meant pivoting to virtual offerings when the COVID-19 pandemic continued to restrict in-person access to Hillary House. We renewed our popular speaker series in a virtual format in which attendance numbers have increased by 14% when compared to 2019. The virtual format even facilitated having participants from as far away as Muskoka, Waterloo, and Ottawa. Through the speaker series, the AHS also reestablished a partnership with the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame and other Ontario museums. We offered virtual workshops and volunteer opportunities and continued to focus on our online presence, which again saw growth. Once public health recommendations allowed, Hillary House reopened to visitors with proper safety precautions in place. We remained dedicated to our fundraising efforts by hosting profitable virtual, hybrid, and in-person fundraising events. We continued to facilitate rentals, film productions at Hillary House, and we completed the critical restoration of the Hillary House veranda. So how did we do? The goals on the left were presented at the budget meeting in November 2020. And these were optimistic goals created when we thought we would be fully operational in 2021. As you can see from this slide, the COVID-19 restrictions did hinder reaching these goals. However, our achievements demonstrate our continued commitment to operations despite these challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting restrictions has continued to impact the AHS and the operation of Hillary House, including loss of program revenue, engagement, and outreach opportunities, as well as decreased on-site attendance due to the closure of Hillary House. We also faced challenges with pivoting fundraising strategies to a virtual format, as well as decreased volunteer engagement and opportunities. However, not all of the impacts of COVID have been negative. In 2021, the AHS began to offer virtual or hybrid programming over the course of the year. Although we had fewer events, we did see increased participation and from over a wider geographical area. Additionally, a greater focus on our online presence has increased our online engagement and led to reaching new audiences. As for our projections on how COVID-19 will continue to affect the AHS in 2022 and 2023, the consequences of COVID-19 are more predictable now than at this point last year, and it is probable that public health restrictions will continue to impact the level of program offerings, engagement, and outreach opportunities into early 2022. Therefore, we are expecting to at least maintain our 2021 performance levels into 2022. We were fortunate this year to receive COVID-19 emergency funding, which will be discussed a little later by our treasurer, but we know these funding assistance measures may not be in place into 2022, even though the impacts of COVID-19 will still be putting pressure on our finances. And again, we expect to continue offering virtual or hybrid programming and maintaining our online presence. Thank you. And I'll pass it back to Patricia.
So, upkeep and restoration of a 158-year-old house is a heavy challenge for a nonprofit organization. In addition to the house, upkeep of the grounds and gardens and the trees provides its own financial challenges. For instance, you can see in this top picture, the sugar maple tree that is at least as old as the house is now in a state of decay and must be removed for safety, as it's a safety hazard. Keeping the space safe and comfortable for visitors and staff is a constant draw on our finances, our staff, and our volunteer board, and it is our priority. In fact, staffing is an area we have identified as needing critical attention. Over the last 8 years, our staffing complement has gradually been cut by 2/3 in efforts to balance the budget while addressing critical operational needs. We have just commenced a staffing review to quantify our immediate needs and also to identify an optimal service delivery model, how much that will cost, and how to fund it. Of course, restoration needs are ongoing. The restoration of the veranda deck and substructure was done through a combination of our own reserves and an Ontario Trillium Foundation grant. On a more positive note, the AHS enjoys relationships with many local organizations, as we believe that reciprocal resource and programming sharing brings a stronger cultural experience to the community at large. In addition, the list of business supporters and individual donors comprises both returning and new supporters each year. It's worth noting, however, that the effects of the pandemic have made some businesses more cautious with their support or have caused them to review their giving and in some cases redirect it, understandably so, to the healthcare sector in the past 2 years and potentially beyond. Sorry, we're having issues. I don't know why. Kathleen gave you an overview earlier of the activities. We're going to have to just pause for one moment. I'm sorry, we're having issues here.
No problem. Mr. Clerk.
All right.
It's different.
1 year, this will go swimmingly smooth. Don't know when that will be. Okay. We sometimes suffer from an unstable internet connection in this house, and all of our providers don't seem to be able to tell us why. Anyway, Kathleen gave you an overview earlier of the activities behind these numbers here. Our in-person attendance and volunteer hours are below average for obvious reasons. However, our online engagement has shown significant and steady increase, with our social media engagement up by 39%. Our membership numbers are up moderately. Our goals for 2022 are in line with our goals for the previous 2 years, but are adjusted to reflect the ongoing impacts of pandemic recovery. Two key goals are to at least maintain the level of cultural engagement in the community, and just as important, to obtain large-scale funding from the corporate and government sector or through foundation grants. The model of event fundraisers, while important for community awareness, is labor-intensive for our volunteers and staff and cannot be our sole source of auxiliary funding. To go over our financial picture, I'll bring in our treasurer, Mr. Jeffrey Daw. Jeff?
Thank you, Pat, and good evening, members of the Budget Committee. It's nice to see your shining faces on the screen here, or at least a couple of you. This slide shows our 2021 funding sources, and the column on the left is our typical funding sources, so donations, memberships. I should point out that the Canada Summer Jobs Grant and the Community Museum Operating Grant, federal, provincial, and the OTF grant, as Pat mentioned, was a $36,000 grant that we used in the restoration of the veranda that's already been referred to. And of course, the Town of Aurora operating grant. The column on the right shows the emergency funding that we received. And quite frankly, we were very successful in these endeavors, thanks in a great part to the efforts of our curator, Kathleen. This budget, this slide, I'm sorry, which speaks to our budget request, shows our 2019 and our 2020 audited financials. And I would like to point out that the 2020 audited financial package was included with the information that we did send to council. The 2021 projected was prepared as of at the end of October for projected out to December 31st. And you'll note there's a couple of anomalies from our typical operating. The first is our operating revenue is at 20,000. We had an artificially high operating revenue this year as we had a one-time sale of $12,000 when we disposed of an asset. We were very successful in our fundraising, our municipal grant, of course. We did very well in grant revenues, both OTF and emergency funding for COVID, and we also had a transfer of reserves of $59,000 that we put towards our veranda project. We are well aware of our responsibilities to be as proactive as possible in fundraising, and to that extent, we had two very successful fundraising activities this past fall: the Scotch tasting in September and the Hillary House virtual party in October. And I know that some of you managed to attend one or the other. I would like to point out that we received an OTF Resilient Communities Fund grant, which enabled us to contract an event planner, a significant factor in the success of the Hillary House virtual house party. As Pat has already pointed out, we're at historic low in staffing levels, and we simply could not have managed to put that on without that additional support. The result is that we will finish our year end. We're projecting a revenue of excess of revenue over expenses of $65,000. Then our 2022 forecast, our operating revenue is down to what we would typically see as our more normal levels. We, based on the success of our fundraising from this year, we do expect to have an equivalent amount of fundraising next year, and the municipal funding is what was previously referred to, or pardon me, previously agreed to. We are looking, therefore, at a town request of $84,600, which was the $80,900 previously agreed to. And we are requesting an additional $3,700 to support our storage of the Godfrey collection. You will recall that previously we had agreed with the town that the town would fund the storage for a period of 3 years of the Godfrey collection, with the intention of moving it into the newly renovated cultural center. Obviously, the intended destination for this unique collection will not be ready for occupancy by the end of this financial agreement. That is December the 31st. So therefore, we are respectfully requesting the operating funds to continue to safely store the collection for an additional 2 years, or until that space becomes ready, whichever occurs first. And that's the financial. I'll turn this back to Pat, and then of course, any questions we'd be happy to answer. Thank you for your time.
Musical chairs. Here we go. So I'm sure the status of the building itself is on your minds. It's always on ours. I won't go too deeply into that here, as town funding is for operational purposes, not restoration, but the two do go hand in hand for a solid operational future. So a condition assessment completed in 2017 prioritized repairs of deterioration of varying degrees of severity. A review of that assessment in the summer of 2020 determined that the previously identified foundation and grading issues, while needing attention, had not deteriorated significantly since the 2017 assessment. However, the veranda substructure and deck boards were identified as needing work for safety reasons, and this work was within the financial scope of our reserves. As I said, this has just been completed. Importantly, the other area of the house which was at a high level of priority in 2017 is the rear summer kitchen addition. Increased deterioration is now very evident. The structure suffers from foundation issues and has significant deterioration in its framing and finishes, making it a convenient home for Aurora's four-legged furry population. A feasibility study will soon be underway to determine the best course of action. So moving forward to 2022. In addition to new programs and exhibitions, we are excited that our newly installed outdoor interactive exhibit panels will give visitors a self-guided experience, whether the museum is open or not. The launch and opening of that is scheduled for next week, and you've all, of course, been invited. I hope you will attend. We hope also to replant all of the gardens that were removed for the veranda restoration in preparation for the Year of the Garden in 2022 to enhance the young streetscape. And of course, funding, staffing, and restoration continue to be a priority in 2022 and beyond. Additionally, the board has expressed a desire to add a representative from the town to our board composition in order to enhance communication and understanding between the two. This ex officio non-voting position is a common practice, as you know. A formal request was sent to Mayor Marcus just last week. So this statement, recent statement by Thomas Wicks of the Ontario Heritage Trust, reproduced here in part, reminds us that Hillary House is one of the best and most well-preserved examples of Gothic revival architecture to be found in Canada because of the work of the Aurora Historical Society. We're very proud of that. And we're very lucky in Aurora to have that. So I thank you for your time this evening, and I would gladly take any questions through you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Patricia. Council recommendations that the presentation and business plan from the Aurora Historical Society Board be received, and 2, that the request for the 2022 operating grant to the Aurora Historical Society Board in the amount of $84,600 tentatively be approved. Would someone like to move that recommendation? Councillor Humphreys and Councillor Gardner. Councillor Humphreys, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank Patricia and the curator and everyone for Jeff for the presentation this evening. It was very well done. I think you have done a tirelessly tremendous job in keeping our jewel of national heritage building the way it is. It's not an easy job at all. It is incredible. It's and we do need to do whatever we can to help keep it in that condition. I can't thank you guys enough for the efforts in your fundraising that are so successful. And I agree this evening that I'm in support of providing a 2-year storage for the Godfrey collection in terms of the changes in light of where the storage was aiming to be. So I'm good with that. And again, just want to thank you very much. I don't have any concerns with the presentation other than I'm very thankful for all the work you've done and support moving forward.
Thank you, Councillor.
You, Councillor Gallo.
And I'm not sure who can answer this, but just in terms of Hillary House restoration, and at the bottom of that slide, it says you need $300,000 to $500,000 in restoration costs. Can you just give me a sense of a strategy or a plan or how you're planning on achieving those resources?
Well, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The first step, of course, in that is a feasibility study and a prioritizing those needs. So we are in constant communication with ERA architects who perform those feasibility studies for us. So we really have to take things in priority. And then, yes, we can go out and look for money. Many of the cost, the grants from the Trillium Foundation, for instance, or other government grants are cost sharing grants. So we have to have the money in our reserves in order for that grant to come into us. So there's that kind of thing from fundraising or fundraising through foundations or corporate. That's all got to come first. Second, the first is finding out how much we need. And so project by project. So we don't have a complete 5-year plan yet, but that's what we're embarking on now, is to start with this one summer kitchen project and then go from there into a restoration plan. But I can tell you it's challenging. We can make all the plans that we want and hopefully reach out for fundraising, but sadly, that's difficult for us as a heritage property.
Councillor?
Thank you. I guess the reason I ask is when I see that, I just can't help but to feel that you guys have an unfair burden on your shoulders when I look at everything else that we do. And this term of council, we've probably spent upwards of $70 to $75 million in capital funding for capital projects for this town. And I see what we give to other organizations and the vast amount of money. And I just can't help but to think you're always on the short end of the stick. And I don't think that's fair. And I think we need to put some serious effort into how to fix that and how to help Hillary House. I know it's not our property, but I'm sure we all feel that it's part of Aurora. And there's no reason why you guys have to, year in, year out, cap in hand, struggle, where other organizations don't do that. And it's not right. And I think it needs to be fixed, and some effort needs to be put to fix that. Those are my thoughts when I saw your presentation.
Thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Gardner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo Councillor Gallo's comments. For so many years, a small number of volunteers, really, I don't know Patricia, how many people there are on the board. And, year after year, it's the same story, and you're left scrounging for funds. And it's always made me uncomfortable. I've often thought that perhaps the Koffler or maybe, they had so much interest to begin with, and maybe the Godfrey family could be approached. I know the Kofflers have a foundation. I don't know about the Godfrey family. But yes, the town doesn't own the property, but it's really a landmark in our community. And we need to keep it from falling apart. It's pure and simple. I know when you did the foundation work, the year of the grass tennis court, I don't know how long ago that was. That was a huge undertaking, but it was really beneficial. So I also would like to find a way to be able to get you more money for that. Can you tell me how much it's going to cost to restore the summer kitchen?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't know yet. As I say, the feasibility study is just being prepared. In fact, a proposal for a feasibility study is just being prepared, meaning that we have to fund the feasibility study. We need to know how much money we need to fund the feasibility study. But I also wanted to answer Councillor Gartner. We have done reach outs to the Koffler Foundation, and their focus is very different. And I have yet to have a response even to my reach out. And Dr. Charles Godfrey is now, I believe he's 104 years old.
I didn't know.
Still living, but their focus is elsewhere as well. So we certainly do try those things and
Thank you.
Continue to do that. Thank you.
Well, perhaps we can speak offline. I'd like to know who you try and reach at the Koffler Foundation, because that's not acceptable that they don't, at least respond to you. I know their focus is a bit different, but we can always try.
By all means.
How much money is in the reserve funds?
Patricia?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Treasurer.
Off the top of my head, about $120,000 right now.
In the reserve funds. No.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just around $100,000 right now, but we still have bills to pay for the veranda out of that.
And are the reserve? Thank you, through Mr. Mayor. Are the reserve funds tasked to do the restoration, or is there another purpose?
We have what, I'm sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. It's the restricted building and grounds fund is what we use for restoration. So anytime that we have an operating surplus, each year the board votes how to use that operating surplus. Most years it goes into the restricted building and grounds fund, depending on what other needs there are. So that fund is for restoration purposes only. And right now, after we deplete it, well, not completely deplete it, but we'll deplete most of it from the veranda, we will start building that back up again to tackle our next projects.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If memory serves, it's only a small amount of money that goes in every year. It's, again, it's just not feasible that you can do all of this yourself. I'd like to say that I attended the Hillary House party. I didn't know how you were going to manage it, but you did a good job, and I especially enjoyed the dancing lessons online. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, Patricia, Jeffrey, Kathleen, thank you very much for coming for a call to vote. The town has made some incredible investments over this term, and I can't wait to see any amendments that come forward on Saturday for those that feel very strongly in adding a new capital project. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you very much for coming out this evening.
And everybody.
6.1.4 Aurora Sports Hall of Fame 2022 operating grant. Presentation to be provided by Javed Khan, President, and Brian Roberts, Treasurer. Javed, Brian, welcome. There he is. Javed, floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, sir, very much. Let me just go to my share screen first. Attention. Okay, Mayor Marakis, councilors, staff, guests who are watching and guests who are going to be watching by recording. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Really appreciate it. I'm very delighted, along with Brian Roberts, our treasurer for the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame, to have a conversation with all of you tonight regarding our update in terms of what has been happening with us, and also the ask for the 2022 budget. As we all know, the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame celebrates sport history and excellence, and we recognize sport's important place in Aurora. We believe it's a place of history, stimulating pride in our community's accomplishments. It's a place of education with more than 90 artifacts to showcase how far our inductees have come. It's also a place of community where young and old can gather to appreciate Aurora's rich culture and heritage. To date, we have inducted 34 outstanding athletes, coaches, and builders, people like Mike Kitchen, Mike Palmetier, Mike Murphy, we call them the three Mikes, Cal Bouchard, we have the brother, sister, Brian and Karen Stemmel, obviously Mr. Aurora himself, Frank Stronach, first ever father-son, Ryan and Dave Gardner, Marquise and Alan Dean, and I can go on and on and on. You just have to visit Aurora, SHOF.ca to see all the honored members. So we're very proud and certainly very excited to be an official cultural partner with the town of Aurora, and we certainly believe strongly that we are, and we make up, and we continue to grow the cultural fabric in our great community. Just for those who just may need a quick history lesson in terms of our hall, we were established in 2013 by our friends at Sport Aurora through a combination of an OTF grant and all the great work that our founder organization and through Ron Weiss put this organization together. As I've mentioned, we've got 34 inducted honored members. We're going to be adding another 4 more in a few more days. We do host one of, we believe, our community's most premier event, the induction celebration dinner. We'll talk just a little bit more about that. We have certainly done more than the dinner. We do a lot of community outreach through the leadership of Kristen Desjardins, who's our chair for the education committee, everything through the Moments in Sport program. We do this thing that it's called the Aurora Cup. It's a hockey tournament amongst schools within our community. We are launching the Heroes of the Hall comic book series for those who are able to attend the induction celebration dinner. We will be launching that there also, but it's already has been launched preemptively with some of the schools in our community. And certainly we'll be revealing our newly renovated education wall that is going to be showcased in less than 48 hours. Question really that's been posed to us in the organizations that have been here tonight in our conversation is what unfortunately has and how has COVID-19 impacted our operations? Well, in our case, it's basically brought it to a big pause. It paused us for at least a good year and a half. When we last spoke, we indicated that our board of governors at the time had paused all of our operations, including the induction celebration dinner, our education programs. But I'm certainly happy to say that we did unpause our dinner event, and we are starting to do some other events. As you heard through the conversations earlier, we've had and started to develop some great collaborative partnerships with our friends at the Aurora Historical Society, with our friends at the Aurora Public Library, and we're starting to grow some other collaborative partnerships that we're soon to be announcing in the very near future. Also, we did apply for some grants, ones that applied and we thought were applicable to the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame, but were not as successful as other organizations in our community. But we did try. I think the biggest challenge for us was that we really didn't have any. We really had no revenue whatsoever for close to 2 years, and trying to find any other revenue opportunities was certainly a challenge in the height of COVID-19 days. However, there's always a positive to everything. We did accomplish with what we had through our partnerships. As I mentioned, we launched a great one with the Aurora Historical Society and had the honored member Karen Stemmel, who did a great conversation talk around the life adventures from 0 to 140 kilometers per hour, and was fantastic. Got some great feedback. Karen was great. She's always a great speaker, and we're looking to continue that conversation and continue providing speakers to the Aurora Historical Society's speaker series. As I mentioned, in about 48 hours, we're going to be launching to the general public the Heroes of the Hall comic series. This is a great initiative that Kristen Desjans started pre-COVID. She actually applied for a small federal grant to get some funding to put this comic book together in partnership with our portrait artist, Paul Riley, and some of the honored members. There's a great photo of some of our honored members with Kristen and our project manager, Karen Merck, putting these comic books together and having them ready for distribution to our schools. We are going to be talking a little bit more about that at our dinner, and putting some information up on our website in the very, very near future. As I mentioned, the Aurora Public Library, we've partnered with them. They have been phenomenal, and actually interviewing 3 of our honored members alongside with Paul Riley. Great video interview that they've done, and they're going to start promoting this periodically throughout the next few weeks, and we're going to partner with them to support them in their promotional efforts. And so certainly be on the lookout, both online, our social media channels, our email communications. If you're part of our email community, you'll start to see that. But some really, really great conversations that were had with this series. Certainly had an opportunity for us to update our website, aurorashof.ca. Opportunity for us not only to update, but to add content. And we've had some tremendous support through our website manager, RC Design. They've done a great work. We're happy to help us to do this work at no cost to us. So gives us an opportunity to update our site. We also had an opportunity to invest in the static display that's at the Aurora Family Leisure Complex off of Industrial Parkway. It's certainly not it's not finished, just at the very beginning stage of looking at how and what we can be putting into this display. This really tees really nicely to our Board of Governors vision and our constant conversation of how do we extend out our Aurora Sports Hall of Fame outside of the SARC into our community, using and leveraging other means of distribution. So this is a great first step in terms of this static display. So certainly more to come after that. Our education wall has been renovated, and we're going to be launching this to those folks who are coming to our VIP meet and greet in another 24 hours or so on Wednesday. So this is some great collaborative work between not only Kristen and her leadership, but also our friends at the curation for Aurora Museum and our members and staff at Town of Aurora. So really excited to see this live. I just only seen photos of it for now. And we're in the very final stages of launching a 50-50 raffle draw program in 2022. Really, the impetus behind this was for a few years now, we have been talking of how do we start to come up with revenue opportunities to start to sustain this long-term and short-term sustainability for the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame. Kristen, again, through her amazing leadership, has submitted a lottery license, has submitted an opportunity with a software company that does multiple 50-50 draws, and we haven't necessarily launched this live yet. We still got some work to do in the back end, and communications will start up later into December. But we're excited of this because this is our first we're hoping a number of other opportunities for us to self-sustain and self-fund the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame moving forward. But we're not there yet. Certainly not only accomplishments, but we have had the opportunity to celebrate some of our great volunteers. Kristen Desjans right here in front of you, who was featured in the Portraits of Giving Spotlight, a tremendous individual, tremendous human being. The amount of work she's done for the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame since 2013 is just amazing. She's got a great passion for the hall, a great passion for education, and extending our education program into as many schools as we can in our community. So huge congratulations to Kristen in her efforts and being recognized through the Portraits of Giving folks. We are also certainly very happy that we're honoring our past president and chair, David Tom, through the Sport Aurora Volunteer Recognition event that they hold every year, and we submitted David Tom. It was quite unanimous, and David's again very passionate individual, someone who was certainly part of the hall at some very challenging times and was able to get us through those waters, and has done a tremendous job. And he's just recently recovering from some surgery. So I'm really hoping that Dave can join us at both of our events coming up in the next few days. Certainly our biggest accomplishment is the fact that we're unpausing the induction celebration dinner. We're very excited about this. We're very excited to introduce and induct 4 amazing individuals. And we're also excited that we're going to be hosting it at the Royal Venetian off of Industrial. And we're going to be doing it in a very, very safe COVID way. We've got many protocols in place. We also have the event experience split into 3 different areas, 3 different opportunities, so that we can make sure we are COVID friendly, we are following those protocols, and most importantly, we're keeping people safe and comfortable in the environment. These 4 individuals are going to be just going to be an awesome night. Let's just put it this way, with a hockey legend, Steve Vickers, and then Colin Graham, who's responsible for the Panthers organization and also for lacrosse in our community. And of course, Lois Thompson, which you all, I'm sure, are aware of, who's been just an amazing individual in our community with not only softball, but all the amount of volunteer work that she has done and just continues to do. And then certainly Mr. Brendan Mackin, who we unfortunately lost in 2020, but is going to be represented very well by his family and his daughters. And Brendan was an amazing individual in the tennis world and certainly did a lot in our community. So these 4 we're very excited to introduce into our hall in the next couple of days. So that's going to be some exciting times. And certainly those folks who are watching, and you're watching this recording, if you know of anyone in our community, and I know there's more than the 4 you just saw, but there are tons of people in our community, and you think that they are a candidate for the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame to be the next inductee and honored member, please go to aurorashof.ca and then /nomination-process. The process is laid out fairly clear. The nomination paper is there, and we certainly are going to be ramping this up for 2022 because I know I can always think right out of the top of my head 3 or 4 right out of the gate that people like Lois Thompson, who is an individual that we can and we're certainly honored and delighted to have into our hall. We certainly want to thank our sponsors and our partners who make not only our induction celebration dinner what it is, but certainly thank some of our partners and sponsors who do help us when we need some assistance moving forward. And certainly a big thank you to the town of Aurora. We certainly want to thank our portrait artist who does tremendous work. He was very busy in the last couple of days at the NHL Hockey Hall of Fame. As you all know, he does the portraits for all of them. We're so blessed to have him as part of our portrait artist, and also the Canadian Business Hall of Fame. He's the portrait artist for them. Certainly every one of you here tonight from the town council, but I certainly cannot forget our staff, that are your staff, that always are helping us in the need that we require. We really, really sincerely appreciate it. And certainly I cannot forget and thank our friends and volunteers at the Board of Governors, who are constantly helping us out. At this point, I'm going to reach and pass the mic over to Brian Roberts, who's with us. He's a CGA, CPA in our community. Brian, he's our treasurer. I'm going to pass this over to you, Brian, just to go through our ask for the 2022 funding requirements.
Thanks, Javid. Can everybody hear me? I guess my video doesn't, it says it can't be turned on for some reason, but anyway, as long as you can hear me, we're good. So we kept everything the same for 2022. 2021 was 2020 was a very slim year with no fundraising dinner that we could have. So we were able to kind of skate by with just a small surplus and trim everything down just as best we could. Now 2021, we are on target to keep it as is. Our dinner is coming back, although with COVID in play, it's kind of there's a lot more issues that could arise that we're not sure yet, because with dinner coming up by the end of this week, we should know a little bit better. But at the time of this slide, I couldn't really hammer out exactly how we're going to shake out, but I think we're going to be at least kind of on target. And so we've kept our 2022 with a minor increase of 2%. So our ask will be the 29.9 for the 2022 budget year. As Javid had mentioned, we are trying different fundraising options, such as a 50-50 draw, which is hopeful that we can generate some good funds for the hall. And so I don't know if anybody has any questions based on our numbers, but by all means, please let me know.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Javid. Council, the recommendations that the presentation from Aurora Sports Hall of Fame be received. 2, that the request for the 2022 operating grant to the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame in the amount of $29,900 be tentatively approved. Someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Gilliland. Any comments or questions? Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I'm very excited that the induction dinner will be happening this year. I'm very excited to attend. Just a couple quick questions. I was very happy to see that there's some more space that's going to be allocated to some of the display cases and such. And I was just wondering, I see on here one of your main things is your education section and obviously communication with the public. Is there any plans in the future to make some of the displays very interactive to the public? I know you do these fantastic inductee videos and, something as, a QR code attached to the case of displays. So as a passerby could be walking through, could launch video and can see what we get to see more at the induction dinner. I just wondered if that was maybe something that you had thought of just to elevate it a bit more.
Javid.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Gilliland, thank you so much for that question. Absolutely, that is in the plans to what we call digitize the static display, and we're also looking to digitize some of the well, not some, but all of those displays. I don't know if you have an opportunity tomorrow, or it's not tomorrow, Wednesday night, to come to the VIP meet and greet, you'll see the new displays are up, and our vision is to digitize those so that when you put your mobile device in front of the image of Colin Graham, automatically a video will pop up either of Colin or his video, a presentation or something, or when you put your mobile device in front of Mike Palmetier's mask, there's a little video from Mike or something educating the individual around that mask. So absolutely, that is in our plan, and we also are potentially planning, and this is all certainly pending funding and fundraising and all these great opportunities that we're looking to do, is to create these playing cards, these what we call trading cards that we did back in the day, and digitizing those also, so that when you hover your mobile phone over the card, that card comes to life either with a video redirecting you to either a website or somewhere else, so that there's some more interactivity, not only for the younger generation, but for all generations alike. So absolutely, that is the plan, Councillor. So thank you for that.
Councillor.
I guess we're all on the same page here, thinking about the same things. Maybe some NFTs while we're at it, right? So
sure, yeah. Okay, now we're talking. So
hang that up in our metaverse, right? So
yes, exactly. Good old metaverse.
Exactly. I guess a question for either yourself or Brian. I did notice that you did account for at least a 4% increase from 2019 to 2021. And, obviously we've gone through a lot of inflation in this last year, and just being in the food and beverage service in general with part of your major expense for 2022. Have you looked at maybe, what's your plan B if you needed to have more funds? 2% for 2022, is that enough? That's, I guess, really the question. With minimum wage increasing, especially in the beverage service area and the food pricing going up, what's your plan B?
Well, definitely, as we discussed, we're looking at this 50-50 draw to hopefully subsidize some of our budgeting. Definitely, it is a very slim increase of 2% over the years. So plan B, like Javid had mentioned, we're looking at basically different forms of fundraising, like our 50-50 draw, and then going from there.
Yeah, and through you, Mr. Mayor, if I may just add, Councillor Gilliland, we have plans in 2022, certainly by the end of the first quarter, to after a few years now have a pretty serious focus strategy discussion, probably going to last us for a good month, with the proposed organization that I've got in front of the Board of Governors. This is an international organization who I've gotten to experience firsthand through another board participation that I'm part of, and had a lengthy chat with them. They are actually former residents of Aurora for close to 30 years. They love the community, and they're always wanted to give back some way, shape, or form. So we have the possible opportunity for this organization to do our strategic plan for a 3 to 5 year strategic plan at a cost of potentially $1. These folks charge quite a bit of money to do strategic plans for very large organizations. So I've got the proposal in front of the Board of Governors, and the hope then, Councillor Gilliland, is part of those strategy conversations is to figure out opportunities for us to not only raise funds, but opportunities for us to seek out ways to generate revenue, not only through fundraising, but also perhaps through digital and technology.
Councillor?
Great, thanks. Good luck with that, and I look forward to Thursday night.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you finally after 20 years or something like that. So yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank you for a very good presentation. When you were talking about the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame at the SARC, I just couldn't imagine how you were going to do it, and you did it, and it's very well done, and with the new addition. So, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I won't see you on Thursday.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Listen, we certainly appreciate your support. We always appreciate your kind words, and perhaps we'll maybe have to bring the hall to your residence to do a little induction celebration dinner. Maybe we'll do a surprise Christmas carol with the inductees and the honored members. Maybe that'll help. So, but we always appreciate, Wendy, your support and kind words. So thank you.
And it's an interesting thought. Please forget it. But for many years we had to run a bingo in order to support Hotspot, and of course Lois was very involved. She's just, I don't know the other gentleman, but she's just amazing. So I'm pleased to see her in the Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none. Javid, Brian, thank you very much for coming this evening. Looking forward to our in-person induction dinner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Council, call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Javid, Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council 6.1.5 Aurora Business Improvement Area, BIA 2022 operating budget. They have a presentation to be provided by Joanne Russo, President. Joanne, welcome. Oh, Joanne, we can't hear you. Nope, still can't hear you. I don't know what's wrong. Looks like she's off mute. Joanne, you might just want to check which mic it's using on your end. No, cannot. I can read your lips, but I can't really hear you right now. I don't think I could read the lips for the whole presentation, but did you want to try logging out and logging back in? Okay. Council, we'll just give it a couple minutes. No. Do we have I'm assuming, Mr. Kirk, we have a presentation with this. Is there, yeah, I was going to say, Joanne, you can dial in? Do you have the number there that you can dial in? And this is why it's going to be good when we get back to 100% in person.
Oh.
Oh,
How about now?
we can hear you. We gotta. You might, Joanne. You might have to take off. You might have to disconnect from the one with your video.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay, good. So now I can hear you fine. What we'll do, as far as from the presentation, our clerk will share it and put it up. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So if you want, I'll just tell you when it's up, and then you can start. You can follow through if you want on yours on your computer, and then just tell us when to change.
I could see it.
Oh, you can see it. Okay. So just tell us when to change the page, and our clerk will change the page for you.
Okay, great. Well, hello everyone. What a way to start this presentation. Thank you all for having us here. I'm Joanne Russo, downtown Aurora, to make it a better way together. So next slide, please. COVID has definitely had some impacts for the BIA, downtown Aurora. Some impacts in 2021. As of May, we have 154 business locations. 70% of them are active, being representing 108. 26 of them is inactive as a result of COVID, and 20 businesses, unfortunately, were closed or vacant due to COVID-19. Our objectives for 2021 was basically to improve and increase our member engagement and to begin member outreach and events to drive traffic and awareness down to the downtown core. Next slide, please. So much. I'm so proud to say we've had so much accomplishments for 2021. A lot of a great amount and improved and increased member engagement was our main focus. We updated the BIA bylaws. We updated the BIA member list, which was great. We updated and refreshed the BIA logo. We participated in the town's business survey. We added 3 new wonderful board members. We created a marketing committee. We created a budget finance committee. We released a RFP for new members and focus on the BIA website. We became a member of the Ontario BIA Association. We became a member of the Aurora Chambers, and we supported the town's application for the new My Main Street grants. We began a member outreach and events to drive traffic and awareness down to the downtown core. We supported the town and AEDC and Magna for the downtown window art project. We installed decals along Yonge Street for better visiting parking, which has been wonderful. We purchased a BIA event tent. We decorated Maychill's Alley with new downtown banners. We animated Maychill's Alley with pop-up music in partnership with the Aurora Cultural Center, Chartwell residents, and local performing artists. We installed an Instagram selfie spot in Maychill's Alley for the fall awareness. We supported the Aurora Chamber and the Explore Aurora campaigns. We launched a Halloween-themed spectacular campaign to promote the area. And we also sponsored and actively participated in the town's Saturday Night Fever on Yonge Street, which was fantastic. Next slide, please. The Saturday Night Fever on Yonge Street was a great success. It was a way to enter and reopen protocols. The town wanted to provide an event to support local Main Street businesses and support all the efforts by the residents and visitors in keeping Aurora safe. We shut down Yonge Street and we danced in the street. It was wonderful. Saturday Night Fever on Yonge Street offered food, music, fun, and a chance to see neighbors, friends, and visitors, local business on Yonge Street while keeping it all safe. Next slide, please. It was a town of Aurora, ourselves. It was just wonderful. Next slide, please. On the next slide here basically shows the BIA members. It's along Wellington Street and Yonge Street, and there's a map. Next slide, please. The event happened on September the 18th, 2021. It was from 4 p.m. all the way to 11 p.m. in the evening. Next slide. Why? Why did we focus on this event? The downtown and Main Street business is basically the heart of the town, and COVID caused a great deal of stress and anxiety and loss, as we all are aware. As a way to celebrate the local innovators, entrepreneurs, and the people that were supported them through the pandemic, the town of Aurora dedicated to invite them to a dance party in the middle of historic downtown, 70s style. I love this photo. Next slide. How? With only 28 days notice, several COVID protocol changes, and fast outreach to the BIA, town staff quickly engaged to bring Saturday Night Fever to life. The nearly impossible was made possible. We had 28 days to prepare, 100 businesses to engage, and 1 million logistics items to tasks, 4 entertainment groups to book, and 1 theme, Boogie Down Until You Drop. The town was fantastic, and I thank them for their support. Next slide. How? Marketing promotion support through the town's social media, BIA website, and Aurora Neighbor, Snap Aurora, and the participation of many local entrepreneurs. Next slide. It was fun. This was a great picture. We decided to use these pictures because you could see generations in the beginning of the event enjoying themselves, having dinner, And you can see the event early in the game or early in the exercise where the streets were starting to get full. Next slide. Vintage Spice. This is a great photo. Love this photo. These are some stats and impacts on the event. Next slide. 25 BIA businesses participated, 20 staff and volunteers, 38 performers and roadies, 35 silent auction prices, and I'm happy to report 1,800 smiling attendees behind their masks. The impact on residents and businesses, spirit was priceless. And you can see in this photo, this was towards the end of the evening, how busy the streets were. Thank you, everyone. Next slide. Our proposed budget for 2022 is broken down as follows. We have administrative costs of $9,000, which basically consists of insurance, membership fees, with website hosting, bank fees, year-end accounting fees. Our marketing and social web is budgeted for $10,000, and this is marketing, promotion, website enhancements. Our contact member support, $10,000, and this is a grant that's also going to be matched if awarded and committed to part-time person for administration and membership support. Our materials and printing is $1,400, materials printing for the BAA members, windows, doors, welcome kits, and other printing. We're intending for 2022 to have a summer event and winter event, contribution to partnering with the town chamber events or run BIA run events of their own. The carrying cost moving forward from 2021 is the estimated $10,000 budget, estimated commitment for the grant, for the ambassador's grant. A total requested budget for 2022 is $40,400, less any carry forwards from 2021 to be confirmed once we get our audited financial statements. Next. That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Council recommendations that the presentation from the Aurora Business Improvement Area be received, and 2, that a maximum 2022 special area tax levy of $40,400 be tentatively approved. Someone like to move that recommendation? Councillor Kim, second. Councillor Gartner, thank you. Any comments or questions? Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. That was really good to get that overview. It has been a long, grueling pause with COVID-19. And I remember when you guys last came, and it was really tough getting a hold of people and getting them engaged. And, you know, obviously a lot has changed since then. And myself, I know I put myself into action as well, and decided to drive up the street and call every single person that I could, just to make sure that they were engaged and knew this was happening. Because, as you know, it was really tough to knock on doors. So just drove up the street and called everybody away, and I've really saw an improvement in engagement. In addition to that, I do support that there is a contact member support position, and I really hope that this grant comes through, because I really do believe that there should be some sort of a position that's dedicated to the BIA, and it kind of gives that bit of that accountability and making sure there's a consistent person there, because as we all know, this is volunteer run. So I do really hope that this gets awarded. Do you have any kind of, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Russo, do you have any kind of status on, where this the grant application is at, and kind of maybe give us a little idea of where you think it's going to end up?
Joanne?
Yes. Thank you, Councillor, for that. I appreciate your comments, and you're right. Developing the members list was quite a task, and I'm happy to say that we're happy with the list that we have on hand. The grant, from my understanding, the application has been completed and has been submitted, my understanding from discussions with council is that we should be hearing in no time as to whether or not the grant has been approved, but the application has been processed.
Councillor?
Thank you. So discussion with council or discussion with staff?
With staff, sorry, my apologies.
Okay, that's good to know. So I do think that's a really good step forward if we have a permanent part-time position that's dedicated to that. Another question. I know that previously when we looked at the budget, the accounting fees were really high, and that was due to the fact that we were using the town's, I guess, audited financials, and it was extremely out of whack for what you had to prepare. And I just thought, is that something that you looked into as to whether or not is that something that you have to utilize? Do we have other options to keep those costs down within your accounting fees?
Joanne?
We sort of outsourced whether or not the costs with another accounting firm would be less than the $2,500, more or less, and they seem to be around the same approximate amount. But it is something that I could bring forward to the board again to see if we could outsource it. It was recommended that we continue to use, or recommended that we use, a reputable firm. One was the fact that the accounting firm that the town uses is highly recommended. But on average, the $2,500 seems to be the going rate.
Councillor?
Thank you. I guess the shocker at that time was when there was really not much to account for, and yet 50% or something or other to that cost was to show that we didn't have really any. You guys didn't really have any money to spend. So I recall that conversation, and I just wanted to know if you had kind of explored that further to see if there was more cost savings to be had there. Another question I had was about the activities and events that are happening on Yonge Street, which is great. I'm glad to see that things are coming back. That Saturday Night Fever event was last minute. I think a lot of people didn't know about it, but it obviously pulled together really quickly, and you could see that the BIA and I guess Aurora or whoever had kind of joined forces and was able to pull off something very successful. So I was glad to see that, and that it targeted that part of Yonge Street. So just kind of expanding on that moving forward with other events and such. With the businesses on the map on Wellington, what are plans do you have in place to attract some pedestrian traffic or business or drive business to the Wellington area, since they are mainly more service type businesses like dentists, orthodontists, lawyers, accounting, different kinds of a servicing that, perhaps maybe not necessarily benefit with those types of events on Yonge Street. Do you have something in mind? Or are you working on something now that would kind of cater to that part of the BIA?
Joanne?
Yes, we are actually. We're exploring events for Wellington Street for 2022. A meeting has been set with the members on the 19th to gather ideas. You're absolutely right. We do want to engage the businesses on Wellington Street, especially the service businesses that are on Wellington Street.
Councillor?
That's really good to hear. And then a final question. I know you had mentioned some of the advertising and marketing was done through the BIA website. And are you referring to the Explore Aurora, or are you referring to the website you currently use? Because if I understand, I believe you guys might be developing something new.
Joanne?
Both. Were utilized, and we are exploring a new website design.
Councillor?
Okay, perfect. I wasn't sure if that was finalized or not, but I think the new website is definitely on track, at least from what I've heard. And really does finger point a driving station for you guys to advertise and market through your website and social media. So hopefully that will all kind of come together quickly. I know it's been a long road for you guys in that sense, but once that comes to fruition and communication's up, I think it can only get better from here.
Thank you. Councillor Humphreys?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have some comments. I just wanted to thank Joanne tonight for the presentation, and the BIA in general. You guys came together during the toughest time ever, pulled together some amazing, significant initiatives, including the dance, which was incredible. It was such a lively, amazing event, beyond anyone's, mine expectations, and felt like, really a normalization of our town. Also, the Machel's Alley has been a real ray of sunshine. It's interesting because we did have some feedback recently on our OP, and they mentioned that they like Machel's Alley, and it's the newest feature on our Yonge Street in the heart of our downtown. So thank you for all your hard work and the BIA's hard work, all the boards, the different committees. You're working really hard as a new team, and I can't thank you enough to continue this hard work and just keep doing all the great stuff you've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Joanne, thank you for the presentation. I have to admit, I smiled through most of it. I remember that evening at the town hall when you were trying to form a board. It was a little tricky, but you did it. And so many accomplishments in such a short period of time through such a difficult period of time. So thank you and everybody for their hard work. And I recognize the joy in your voice when you said you have 3 new board members. So I guess you're a going concern now. Last comment. Last comment. I really like the logo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, Joanne, thank you very much for coming. And I just one comment in regards to the Saturday Night Fever event. It was great that everyone was out there dancing. It was great that everyone was out there having fun. It was great that we are coming out of the pandemic. I know we're still in it to a certain extent, but it was a great atmosphere. But the best thing about that evening was that our local businesses were busy. People were in there shopping. And a lot of the comments that I received back, and I'm sure you got some of the same feedback from our local businesses in the downtown core, is they said a lot of people came by and said, I never knew you existed.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And it was a great way. And I think that goes to speak to the fact of why these events are so important, is because it gets everyone to know what is in the downtown. So thank you very much for all the hard work that you and the rest of the board do. And we're looking forward to our next year in the downtown.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And thank you. And I'm happy you mentioned that, Mr. Mayor, because it was the feedback received from the local businesses was just so positive. And you're right. I mean, I know after the event, I wanted to grab some dinner, and it was a 30 to 45 minute wait. And I thought that I'm not complaining. I think that is wonderful. So it was wonderful. And all we were getting was we want to see this happen more and more. So it was positive feedback from businesses.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Joanne. With that, council, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Joanne, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Council, with that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Gilliland, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. We are adjourned. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Night.
Night, everyone.